Namaste and good morning to all. Let's start our class with the prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhavaswaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. अस्तो मा सद्गम्य तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गम्य मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गम्य ओम सहना भवतु सहना भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओम. So in this class we are studying Vivekachudamani by Adi Shankaracharya ji. And we ended our last week's class with verse number 250. So from 250 to 253, he's telling us what kind of attitude we should have in our mind while we are meditating. Okay. So now let's start the class with 251 today.
Avdut Gita. Today is Avdut Gita.
No, today is Vivekachudamani.
Oh, Vivekachudamani. Yeah, okay. That's what I was saying. Thank you.
Yeah. So 251. Mrit karyam saklam ghat adi satatam mrin matram ev ahitam tatvat sajjanitam sada atmakam idam sanmatram ev akhilam yasmat na asti sata param kim api tat satyam sa atma swayam tasmat tat tvam asi prashantam amlam brahm advayam yat param. Mrit karyam, modifications of mud. So it's like something which is made out of clay. That's a mrit karyam. Saklam, all. Ghat adi, the pot, etc. Sattam, always. Mrin matram ev, clay alone. Ahitam, accepted. Tadvat, so also. Sajjanitam, born of Brahma. Sad Atmakam, of the nature of Brahma, pure existence. Sat means pure. Brahm. Idam means this, san matram ev, Brahm alone. Akhilam, the entire. Yasmat, since. Na means not. Asti, there is. Sataha, then Brahma. Param means other or supreme. Kim api, anything. Tat means that. Satyam, reality. Sa means that. Atma Swayam, one's very own self. Tasmat means therefore. Tat means that. Tvam means you. Asi, I. Prashantam, the serene. Amlam, the pure. Brahm, Advayam, non-dual. Yat means which. Param means the supreme. All modifications of mud, such as the pot, are accepted by the mud as real, but are in fact mud alone. So too the entire universe which comes from Brahm is Brahm alone. Nothing other than Brahma, the self-existent reality, one's very own self. Thou art that. So this is the Mahavakya, one of the Mahavakyas. Thou art that. Tat Tvam Asi. The serene, the pure, the supreme Brahma, the non-dual. So when we are meditating, this should be our attitude. Sure, when we work in the world, we forget this. But during meditation, we can keep this attitude. I am part of Brahma. Why do I get frustrated? At least for that 15, 20, 25 minutes. If not all day long. Can't we do that? This is what he's suggesting. Okay. Something is made out of mud, no matter what the shape and form. It could be a cup, it could be a mug, it could be a pot. It's nothing but mud. And we are all part of, we are came out of Brahma, everything. There's nothing but Brahma. Can't we remember that? Something born out of gold is nothing but gold. So everything has come out of Sat. That's what he's saying, the pure consciousness. So in essence, everything is Sat, the whole universe. We just get fixated on the unreal, the joys and the sorrows. We are looking at only the bubbles and the froth, not the deep ocean. And that's why we stay agitated. So this great Rishi, he is taking our attention and he is helping us. Hey, this is reality. That alone is the reality. The self-existent Atma, thou art that. Reality alone. So during meditation, so we got to make it a little practice of it. Few minutes of practice every day. I would say start your day with this and end your day with this. You'll have the effect of that. Yesterday, somebody came over here to learn meditation. She said, I've been doing it. I've been just this way, that way, but somehow it's not working. I said, do you do it every day? No, I do it for a few days, then I give up. We got to make a promise to do it every single day. I told her, I said, whether you eat or not, it doesn't matter. But meditation you got to do. It's okay not to eat one day, but it's not okay not to meditate any day. Then you will see the effect of this. Okay, and during meditation, this is what we are supposed to, this kind of attitude. I am Brahma. These are not just the words, these are the experiences of this reality by these great rishis, and they are telling us that you are that too. But we have to experience, they experience for themselves, we have to experience for ourselves. And we can experience only if we practice. Okay, if I eat only then I feel satisfied. It's not that I cook and feed somebody else. My stomach is not going to get full. The same way, this experience is a self-experience. Let's look at 252 now, because this is also a part of that. See, the whole book is, if you can divide it into different verses, we see that how these verses are connected and how strong the message we are getting. Nidraha kalpit desh kal vishay gyatra adi sarvam yatha mithya tadvad ihi api jagrati jagat swa agyan karyatvata yasmat evam idam sharir karan pran aham adi api asat tasmat tat tvam asi Prashantam Amlam Brahm Advayam Yat Param. So you can see that last line is repeated here. Nidra Kalpit, projected in a dream. Desh, the place. Kal, time. Vishay, objects. Gyatra Adi, knower, etc. Sarvam, all. Yatha, just as. Mithya, unreal. Tadvat, similarly. Ih means here, api means also. Jagrati, in waking state. Jagat, the world. Swa agyan karye tvataha, being the effect of one's own ignorance. Swagyan, swa means own, agyan, ignorance. So being the effect of one's own ignorance. Yasmat evam, because of it being so. Idam means this, sharir means body, karan, the organs, pran, the vital energy, aham adi, the ego, etc. Api means also, asat, unreal. Tasmat, therefore, tat tvamasi, that thou art. Prashantam, the serene. Amlam, the pure. Brahm advayam, the non-dual Brahma. Yat means which, Param means supreme. Just as the place, time, objects, knower, etc., in a dream are unreal. Right? We do see people, we see places, we even do actions. Sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we cry, but that's all unreal. So too is the world we experience in our waking state. So just like a dream for an ordinary person is unreal, for an awakened person, this whole thing is unreal too. So just as the place, time, objects, knower, etc. in a dream are unreal, so too is the world we experience in our waking state, which is due to our own ignorance. Since the body, the organs, the pran, the ego, etc. are unreal, thou art that, the serene, the pure, the supreme Brahm, the non-doer. So what is real and what is unreal? This is clearly he is telling us over here. Just like there cannot be any dream once you are awake, because you know that was just a dream. A person who still keeps finding the answers in the dream, that means they are deluded. Because the minute you come to apprehend your waking condition, dream ends. The same way, the ignorance of the self, because we don't have any experience of the fourth stage, which is a turiya state. Waking world seems real to us, but a person who has realized the turiya state, this is all unreal. Okay. So on waking up, the dreamer, the dream world, the dream equipments, dream experiences, person knows they're all unreal. So that's where at the end he says, thou art that, the serene, the pure, the supreme Brahma, the one without a second, that's what you are. So again, I would say during our meditation, we can remember this. If we still keep on thinking about our unreal part of our imagination in our meditation, then we are not meditating. Meditation is to experience this serene, the pure, the supreme Brahm, the one without a second. That's why I always tell you that this little symbol, this is like a reminding ourselves again and again. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm the soul. constantly connected. We forget that we are connected. Actually, we are connected, but we forget that we are connected. Because if we are part of Brahma, part cannot be separated. It's our own illusion that we are separated. So we got to remind ourselves. That's why this is called a Gyan Mudra. This is the Gyan, that I am pure, serene, calm. We got to recognize that our real nature. Then next one, 253. This is also part of the attitude during the meditation. Yat bhranteyah kalpitam tat vivekehe tat tan matram na ev tasmat vibhinnam swapne nashtehe swapan vishvam vichitram swasmat bhinnam kim nu drishtam parbodhehe. So this is 253. Yatra. Yatra means there or where. Bhrantya, due to delusion. Kalpitam, projected. Tat vivekehe, on its discrimination. Vivek means discrimination. That's why the name of this great book is Vivekachudamani. This is all about discrimination. How to discriminate between the real and unreal, between the truth and the untruth, between the temporary and the permanent. That is Vivek, discrimination. Tat means that, tan matram, that alone, tan matram. Na ev, never. Tasmat, then it. So that means the substratum. Vibhinnam, other. Swapne, in the dream. Nashtehe, subsiding. Swapan vishwam, the dream universe. Vichitram, diverse, manifold. Swasamat, from oneself. Bhinnam, different. Kim, no. That together it means like a, does it? Drishtam, appear. Parbodhe, on waking. That which is wrongly supposed to exist in something, when the truth about it is known, recognized as nothing other than the substratum, and not at all different from it. The dream universe appears and subsides in the dream itself. Swapne nashtam swapan vishwam vichitra. Because where does that swapan goes? It just dissolves into the swapan itself. On waking, does it appear as something different from one's own mind? So he says, contemplate on this. Something we perceived in delusion, it disappears when the discrimination dawns. Because sometimes in hurry, in haste, we may come to the wrong conclusion regarding anything. But when we think clearly, completely, we have a clarity about it. That's how we apprehend the truth properly. Just like he has been given us the examples of a rope and a snake, or the post and the ghost. When we apprehend it, sure, in a hurry, in a haste, when we didn't pay attention, we thought it was a snake, but when we really know it, then we know the reality. So the same way he says, when the mind has been transcended, then no more is there a cause for any such delusion at any time whatsoever. So in other words, when the Vivek dawns, the Bhranti vanishes, the delusion vanishes. Reality alone, because this is the substratum, this is the reality. You don't have to bring a reality from somewhere, but this is the reality. So that's why he keeps on giving us this analogy of a waker and a dreamer. For a waker, dream just rolls away. So swapne nashta swapna vishwam vichitram. It just goes back into the dream world. The same way all this delusion goes back into the delusion world. So delusion ends and the illusory perceptions disappear. But it happens when we have experienced the highest. A person who's dreaming cannot feel this, the reality. The same way, if we have not apprehended the reality, we'll think that these are only the words. So we have to experience it ourselves, this highest state. Okay. So only then this world of delusion will roll away. For others, it's still there. But a person who has experienced this Turiya state, this rolls away back into where it came from. Okay. So now, further, he's basically what he's telling us, we need to meditate, guys. He's not saying that don't do sadhana. He's not saying that it will just happen by itself. No, we have to do sadhana. And meditation is very much part of the sadhana. Okay. Sure, keeping the body fit, that's part of the sadhana. But why do we want to keep the body fit? Why do we want to do our duties? Why do we want to keep a place clean and our body clean too? So that we can do this sadhana. This is ultimate. Normally what happens, we start the sadhana and we think that those means are the goals. Ego takes over. I have a better body, stronger body, more flexible body. I meditate for an hour, 2 hours. Sure, do that, but don't start. Don't let your ego take over. All of that sadhana is the means. Do not get trapped into the means. These means are to attain the goal. And this is what he is telling us. Thou art that. So once we experience that, then ego has dissolved. If we still have the me and the mine, I and you, that means there is an ego. And the sadhana should dissolve the ego. Otherwise, we keep on comparing my dream versus your dream. In my dream, I was a king. In your dream, you were a pauper. We'll call those people very immature. The same way we do in this world. I have this degree, I have this family, I belong to this and you belong to that. A realized saint will say that you are deluded. Deluded. So let's look at what else will help us in our meditation. Verse number 254. So remember all of this, sometimes you get overwhelmed with these big mantras, the language which you are not comfortable with. That's why I want you to get the essence of it and practice it. Don't feel overwhelmed by the size of these verses, please. Okay, but if you enjoy it, once you know what this is about, then you will get the enjoyment from it too. So now it says, Jatihi, Nitihi, Kul, Gotra, Durgam, Nam, Rupa, Gun, Dosh, Varchitam, Desh, Kal, Vishe, Ati, Vartihi, Yat, Brahma, Tat, Tvam, Asi, Bhave, Atmane. Beautiful. Jati, caste. Niti, creed. Or like a niti also means the rules which we follow in our living, ethical living, niti. But that also means creed. Kul means family. Gotra means lineage. Durgam, beyond. Naam means name, Roop means form, Gun, merit, Dosh, demerit, like a defect. Without Varjitam means abandoning something, like a without. Desh, space, Kal, time, Vishay, objects, Ativarti, beyond. Yat means that which, Brahm, Tat means that, Tvam means thou, Asi means art, Bhavya Atmani, meditate in your mind. That which has no caste, creed, family, or lineage, which is without name and form, merit and demerit, which is beyond space, time, and sense objects. That Brahma thou art. Meditate on this in your mind. Okay? Because otherwise, 24/7, we are just singing the praises of our achievements, or our body, or our connections. He says, at least during meditation, disconnect from all that. Remember that Brahma, who is beyond all this, Brahma doesn't have a race or a family or a gotra or a color or a form. And that's what you are during meditation, at least. So from this verse onward, for about 10, 12 verses, we'll see how we can get further help during our meditation. So the very first thing he's saying, that Brahma thou art. Constantly keep this attitude in your mind. See, we normally understand or know something when we study our scriptures. And that happens in our mind or our intellect. So knowledge, see, sometimes mind and intellect, we just combine it because it's not see, in the physical body, we can see that my fingers start from here and they end. My arms start and they end here. But in the mind and the intellect and the ego, there's no start and end of it because it's a subtle body. Okay, so that's why sometimes these words, manana, buddhi, and ahankar, we use it interchangeably also. But whenever we are understanding or knowing something, that is a function of the intellect. When we are feeling something, that is a function of our mind. So we need to learn the truth. So develop your knowing through the study of the scripture. So why we are studying this? So that we know it. But then at the same time, we don't want to stay there. We want to feel also. And how do we feel? By devotion, by bhakti. So that's why knowledge and devotion are the methods or the techniques through which we understand this God's nature. And that's how it's enhanced. So with the right knowledge, devotion is increased. With the devotion, our knowledge is increased because we need both of them. Because neither of them by themselves capable of realizing the truth. I often tell you, if you have only the knowledge, sooner or later, ego erupts. Oh, I know more than others. Arrogance comes in. And if you do only the bhakti without the knowledge, what happens? We become fanatics. That's why we start saying, my God, my way of worshipping is better than yours. That's why every religion says hurting is bad, killing is wrong. But still, wars happen in the name of God. Because knowledge is not there. It's only a blind, fanatic faith. And we think we are pleasing God by killing God's people. So that's why this great Rishi is telling us we need to work on both. Because it is beyond mind and intellect. It's beyond. It's like my roof is beyond the stairs. But I need the stairs to climb on to get on top of my roof. So we cannot negate the mind and intellect, but we cannot say that, hey, this is it. My mind is very powerful, or I have a lot of faith in God. We need both of them. So when the mind and the intellect merge, what happens? There is a beautiful instrument which is developed, which rishis call it heart in the scriptural literature. Heart. This is not a pumping organ which we have in one body. This is a philosophical term. Heart is developed. That's where the compassion comes. That's where the kindness comes. That's where the oneness comes. That's where we feel the oneness with God also. So it's not a physical heart. Remember that. So just as understanding, Gyan is the function of the intellect, feeling, bhakti is the function of the mind, and bhavana is the function of the heart. We talk about bhavanas, and then ultimately bhavana will take us to the bhav. And bhav, which is so pure, the bhav, see, bhavana can be sattvic, tamasic, rajasic, but bhav is supreme. That bhav we need to cultivate. That kind of a feeling towards God. So that bhav, combination of mind and intellect, and even beyond that. So contemplation is feeling fully what you have understood and understanding fully what you have felt. So in other words, all the instruments used properly for that ultimate goal. Somebody said that feeling full understanding or understandingly feeling is contemplation. So you cannot just let go of one part of the equation. We need to have a complete equation. Feeling full understanding or understandingly feeling. So that means try to feel what you have understood and to understand what your own feelings confirm. So constantly meditate in your heart that Brahm I am. That Brahm. And in this verse, he's saying, this Brahm is beyond caste, creed, family, lineage. Whether we are a female or a male, Christian or Hindu, whether we call ourselves Brahman or Kshatriya or Shudra or Vaishya, Brahm is beyond all these distinctions. Brahm is beyond all names and forms, merits and demerits. So that's why it's not a substance. And that's why he further clarified it. Brahm is that which is not conditioned by time, space, or objects. See, all these things are conditioned by time, space, but Brahm is not. So in other words, do not waste time that in the past I could have done it. I don't become anxious about the future. What will happen when I grow old? Who will take care of me? Live in the present. Contemplate upon these ideas right now. Do your duties. Kar se kaam, man mein Ram. That's a very simple way of living life. This body has been given to us with the help of the Prakriti to do our duties. Normally, what do? We don't do what we are supposed to do, and in our mind, we just keep on worrying. We do opposite. Okay? So remember that keep a part of your mind steadily, hold on to the idea of the divinity. Whichever form of divinity, whichever form takes you towards the divine, does not matter which form, any mantra, any name, as long as you're connected. It's like the scriptures talk about the boats. Boat could be made out of a log or a beautiful shining metal. Doesn't matter. As long as you are on that boat, firmly, steadily, you will go towards the other shore. Okay? So let's do one more and then we'll stop. 255. So remember, again, I would repeat, all these verses are, he's helping us to firmly do our practice. Okay, so he's telling us what kind of attitude we should have during practice, our sadhana and meditation, especially right now, he's talking about meditation. Yat param sakal vak agocharam, gocharam vimal bodh chakshusah, shuddh chit ghanam anadi vastu, yat brahm tat tvam asi bhavye atmani. Yat means that which, param supreme, sakal all, vak speech, words, agocharam beyond, gocharam experientiable, like when you reach somewhere. Vimal bodh chakshusa, by the eye of pure knowledge. See, vimal is pure, like there's no mal. Bodh is the knowledge. Chakshusha, by the eye. So by the eye of pure knowledge. Shuddh, pure. Chit ghanam, mass of consciousness. Anadi, beginningless. Vastu, entity. Yat means which. Brahm, tat means that. Tvam, you. Asi, are. Bhavya atmani, meditate in your mind. So he's saying the supreme Brahma, which is beyond the expression of speech, which is only for the eye of pure illumination, which is pure mass of consciousness, which is a beginningless entity, that Brahma thou art. Meditate on this in your mind. Okay. So the very first thing he said, Sakal Vag Agochara, beyond all speech. So in other words, no language, no method of expression can we express Brahma. So that means it can never come, we can never explain with the help of any language, any word. Because no matter how deep the language is, it is still finite. Finite can never explain infinite. So this is what it really means. Yat param sakal vak agocharam. So that great truth cannot be thought of. We really cannot. Mind is limited again. Mind is part of the Prakriti. So if we cannot think of it, how can we express it? That's why we got to transcend this mind, transcend this intellect. But he says, that doesn't mean you cannot experience it. We cannot express it. But if the Guru says you can't even experience it, then student says, forget about it. Over here, he says you can experience. How? Vimal bodh chakshusha. The eye of that clear knowledge. Okay? Purified intellect. And what is a purified intellect? Purified intellect is an intellect which is not oscillating. Intellect which does not have any doubts. Because if the intellect has the doubts, like yesterday I was telling you, that lady came, she says, I have tried Vipassana also, I have tried Shri Ravi Shankar also, I have tried other types of meditations also. I said, they're all great. But you got to practice on one for at least for a certain period of time. They're all great teachers. But no matter how great the teacher is, practice you have to do, and you have to do it consistently. That's why Rishi Patanjali said, Nirantara and Dhira Kal Satikara Sevita. Then you'll see the result. But we think that it should be right away. Oh, I have meditated for a week, or sometimes not even a week, and people think that there should be some kind of a transformation. Because that's what she said, nothing is happening. I said, what are you trying? What should happen? Should you have masses of people bending on your feet now? Don't expect anything. Do what you need to do, what you're supposed to do. That's all. And do not keep on hopping from teacher to teacher. Sure, in the beginning it's okay because you haven't found somebody. But once you find, practice should start, and you should give yourself some time to practice. We are talking about this mind of ours, which has been going on for countless lives. It will take some time for this to clear. Even a little seed when we plant, if we keep on moving it from this part to the other part, it will never germinate. No matter how good a soil is, no matter how much water you give, no matter how much sunshine you give, if you keep on moving it, it will not. And over here, this is a mind you are talking about. So that's why Shankaracharya is saying, Vimal Bodh Chakshusa. This is the key word over here. And oscillations or the fluctuations of our mind or the intellect is due to vasanas. Those impressions which have been set in there, they have been lodged in there. That's why I was telling you in one of our classes last week, this vasanas, the sanskars, the impressions, they are so important for us to understand. We not only came with these vasanas, but we keep on cultivating more vasanas also. So remember, this Brahma or Atma is not perceivable by any other instrument. But Vimal Bodh Chakshusa. But it is Shuddha Chit Ghanam. It is everywhere. It's not that it's not. It's a pure mass of consciousness. That's what Brahma is. It's not the consciousness about the objects. It is the consciousness itself. That's why he said pure consciousness. Because when the objects come in there, it's not pure then. That's why often I tell you, when you do the prayers also, you have a certain form in front of you. Sure, you start out with the form, but in that form, you are supposed to connect with the formless. That is a mass of consciousness. That pure consciousness is waiting for you. But with our material mind, we think, how can this statue wait for me? Statue is only a means to reach to that Shuddha Chit Ghanam. And that is without beginning and without end also. That's what Lord Arjun saw. Lord Krishna showed Arjun this Brahma right in his body. So that's how the form is needed. But in the form, there's a formless. So with the help of the form, we are supposed to connect with the formless. Do not just stay at the lower level. Then he says it's a beginningless, anadi. That great Brahman. Another, just look at the level of understanding or the experience of this Guru. He says that great Brahma is who you are. I mean, look at this depth of this experience in this Guru. And he says, contemplate on that truth. He's not saying that I am that and worship me. He says, you are that also, but you have to rise above all these lower steps. Okay, so all these verses, they really give us a beautiful message that practice sadhana. So let's do even though I don't like to stop here, the next one is verse is very beautiful too, but we can wait, I think, next week. So gives you a little chance to practice also a little bit, okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnase Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much. So we will have some time for the dialogues now, some conversation if anybody has a question. And then after that,